Looking for youth, boy, I don't even know what you are talking about. Whatever he is doing, a poor boy is talking nonsense here. Everyone didn't pay attention to Yifan at all. Perhaps it seemed to them that such a thin high school student like Yifan couldn't do anything to them at all. But Yifan was eager to save people, so he didn't care too much. When he threw out his Wing Chun fist, it landed directly on the head of one of them. The man fell directly to the ground with blood still bleeding from his forehead. This scene moved the people around him even more. This kid actually dares to do it. What the hell, is he impatient? That's right, let's all go up together and kill this little guy. Those people gathered around one after another. To Yifan, everyone felt like an enemy. Yifan worked so hard not only because of the system task, nor because Zhou Lixiang was Yifan's teacher, but because, in the heart of every dick, there is a seemingly impossible thing in his heart. Yifan, the woman he cared about was only he cared about, other people just couldn't do it if they wanted to play against them. A few minutes later, those people who were very arrogant before were all lying on the ground moaning, none of them was Yifan's opponent. And in the room at the farthest corner of the hotel, a young man in a black suit was pulling out his mobile phone and taking pictures of the character in front of him in all directions, with a lewd smile on his face. Haha, the best. The young man did not forget to say. The young man's name is Qining, he is the nephew of the leader of the Songlong gang, Songlong, and he does all kinds of evil in this area. One day, I came to the bar to go hunting, and happened to find Zhou Lixiang who was drinking there. Qining had never met such a top-notch beauty before, so he used all means to charm Zhou Lixiang and took him to the hotel. Haha, beauty, your skin is as smooth as jade. Qining gently stroked Zhou Lixiang's arm with greedy eyes on his face. Your boyfriend doesn't know how to cherish such a beautiful beauty, she still cheats, but don't worry, I will love you very much. As he said that, the smile on his face became even colder, and then he lowered his head slowly, preparing to take off Zhou Lixiang's clothes. Just as he was about to do this, the door that was originally closed was suddenly kicked open with a bang. A man who looked like a 17 or 18-year-old boy walked towards him. This man was none other than Yifan, and the main purpose of Yifan's coming here this time was to save Zhou Lixiang. As soon as he entered the room, Yifan could see Zhou Lixiang lying there at a glance. He saw Zhou Lixiang was hot all over, and she kept taking off her clothes. And Qining was still holding the phone in his hand, and the camera button was still on, which made Yifan even more angry. How dare you secretly take pictures of your favorite goddess, you are looking for death, Yifan said in his heart. What's the matter, did you like it? Qining pointed to Zhou Lixiang on the bed and said, if you like it, we can have sex together. See, this girl is so top-notch. As he said that, Qining's eyes revealed a greedy gaze. Seeing that Yifan didn't move, he thought he had already moved Yifan. As for Yifan, looking at the dream goddess in front of her, she was just lying there, her eyes were blurred, and she looked very painful. Don't hesitate anymore, look at her, she can't bear it anymore, why don't we help her out? Qining said shamelessly to Yifan. For a moment, Yifan couldn't deny that he was also moved by Qining's words, but now, Yifan has come to his senses. I'll give you a chance now, get out of here immediately. Yifan pointed at Qining in front of him and said. Who knew that just after these words were finished, Qining in front of him looked at Yifan with an unbelievable look. Oh, I can't tell, you still want to eat alone? What eating alone? Zhou Lixiang is her teacher, will Yifan eat alone? Why is it so ugly? Yifan turned around and looked at Qining, hand over your phone, otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. So what if you're not polite? Qining's face suddenly turned ferocious. I originally wanted to share the benefits with you, but I didn't expect you to be ungrateful. If this is the case, then I can't blame you. Just after the words were finished, Qining rushed towards Yifan with his whole body. Qining has this confidence. As one of the best masters in the Songlong gang, isn't it easy to take down Yifan? But when he just arrived in front of Yifan and was about to take Yifan down in one fell swoop, he found that Yifan was standing there motionless. Looking at this scene, Qinying's expression was dull. What? How is this possible? Qinying's skill is no problem for 3 or 5 people, let alone a high school student like Yifan. But the fact is that Yifan stood there motionless, even a slight smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Yifan asked, is that what you are capable of? Boy, you. Qining was about to speak, but Yifan sent him flying. Qining spat out a mouthful of blood. Looking at Yifan, who was slowly approaching, Qining also became afraid, pointed at Yifan and said, "Boy, do you know who I am? My uncle is the leader of the Songlong gang. Don't blame me." Pa, the crisp sound broke the original silence. Qining looked at Yifan in disbelief. Just now Qining had revealed that his uncle was the leader of the Songlong gang, but Yifan beat him up without hesitation. This can only show one thing, that is, Yifan doesn't care about the wolf gang at all. Who is he? "Who are you?" Qining asked Yifan unwillingly. Yifan made a very indifferent look. "Go away, don't let me see you." Hearing what Yifan said, Qining knew that it was impossible to know Yifan's identity now, and now he had to leave first. Following Qin Ying's departure, Yifan turned around and looked at Zhou Lixiang, who was lying on the bed. The system's notification sound did not sound, which also meant that Yifan's task had not been completed. But seeing Zhou Lixiang in great pain, as her admirer, Yifan felt a little pain in his heart. "System, what should I do to make teacher Zhou Lixiang relieve the pain?" Yifan then asked. The system hesitated for a while, and then said to Yifan, "Using the power of the system, it can be done easily, but..." "Just what?" Yifan said as if he broke the casserole and asked the bottom line. "It's just that the host has to bear the corresponding consequences, and the consequences are likely to be very serious." This is the first time the system said so seriously. The consequences will be very serious? Yifan doesn't have time to worry about these things now. As long as he can help Zhou Lixiang wake up, then it doesn't matter. "Are you sure you want to use the power of the system?" the system asked again. Yifan was very speechless. "Sure, and you have asked me more than 800 times, what consequences can there be? I will bear all of them, okay?" "Okay, the system is running, teacher Zhou Lixiang will wake up in 10 seconds, but the corresponding consequences, I hope the host can be mentally prepared," the system said again tirelessly. Consequences, what other consequences could there be? Yifan was thinking there, at most he just got up and gave Yifan a slap, what else could he do? While Yifan was still thinking about it, 10 seconds soon passed. Zhou Lixiang slowly opened her eyes, and everything around her seemed a little strange to her. She just remembered that she was drunk, and then she couldn't remember anything after that. Opening her eyes dimly, Zhou Lixiang found that there was a person standing in front of her, and there was a hint of a smile on this person's face. "Teacher Zhou Lixiang, are you awake?" Yifan stepped forward and said with a concerned look. Zhou Lixiang recognized Yifan, for the student whose grades were not very good. Zhou Lixiang actually had some impressions, but soon, Zhou Lixiang started to take 2 steps back and shouted loudly, "Ah, don't come here, what do you want to do?" Yifan stood there in a daze. What did Yifan want to do? He didn't do anything. Did nothing? But when Zhou Lixiang woke up, she looked so messy. Could it be that she did it herself? Needless to say, Zhou Lixiang did it herself. Who should Yifan turn to reason with this kind of matter? Just when Yifan was still thinking about it, the door that was originally closed was knocked open. Who? Yifan became vigilant. He was now worried that Qining would come back and bring someone back for revenge. Needless to say, there is such a possibility, but what Yifan imagined is not a gang of gangsters, but a very beautiful policewoman. Behind the policewoman, there are still many people following, but these people all look like the policewoman is leading the way. This female policewoman has a really good figure, her front is convex and her back is upturned. Even that uniform can't stop her tall and proud pair. Yifan was almost dumbfounded. At least a 30-60 perfect figure, and in some respects, compared to teacher Zhou Lixiang, Yifan was thinking in his heart, how come there are so many beauties all of a sudden? Take him away. The policewoman pointed at Yifan without looking. Yifan thought he had heard it wrong. What? Take me away? What did I do? Why did you take me away? It wasn't me, you arrested the wrong person. Both stolen goods, you scum, you have the face to ask what you did? The policewoman was too embarrassed to bring it up. Take him away, I will interrogate myself. Yifan was speechless. Is this the so-called consequence? Would Yifan be arrested as a rapist? Wuh, come and save me quickly. Yifan looked in front of him with a depressed face. You said it is not easy to be a good person these days, right? Although the policewoman in front of me is quite good-looking, with a protruding front and back, which is very eye-catching, but this can't make Yifan stay here, right? What did this kid do? I don't know, he looks like he's still a student, right? Yeah, he's still a high school student, and I heard he was an attempted rape. What a pity, my life is ruined like this gone. Everyone was talking there, and Yifan was about to vomit blood. If he knew this was the case, Yifan couldn't start the system no matter what. This is the consequence, Yifan has finally learned it, but it is useless to say these now. On the other side, when Qining saw the police taking Yifan away, a cold smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Hey, let you fight with me, see if I don't kill you. Qining was talking there, but it was a little pity that he could no longer do those embarrassing things with Zhou Lixiang. Thinking of Zhou Lixiang's perfect fiery body, Qining felt as if a fire was burning in his lower abdomen. Anxious Qining kept wandering around. As for Yifan, to be honest, it was the first time for him to ride in a police car at such a young age, and this feeling made him a little excited. Over there, the beautiful policeman sitting upright glanced at Yifan. If Yifan was stealing, that's fine. He didn't learn well at a young age, and he did such a thing. As for Yifan, he kept peeking at the beautiful policeman, feeling secretly refreshed, especially behind the dark policeman, which made Yifan feel like having an affair. The only pity is that Yifan can't do anything, which makes Yifan a little regretful. Finally, the car stopped and Yifan was taken out of the car. The beautiful policeman glanced at Yifan. Take him to the conference room. The meeting room is usually a place where prisoners are interrogated. Now the meaning of bringing Yifan here is self-evident. Of course, Yifan doesn't know this yet. Sitting here, Yifan looked around. Finally, the door opened, and the beautiful policeman came over. Yifan glanced at the chest of the beautiful policewoman. There was a nameplate with the word Zhongling written on it. It turns out that the beautiful policewoman is called Zhongling, Yifan thought in his heart, and sat there honestly, but his eyes were very dishonest, staring at Zhongling's body and turning around. Have you seen enough? Zhongling asked. Enough is enough, Yifan replied honestly. Zhongling hummed. In fact, Yifan felt quite honest. How could he do such a thing? Zhongling still felt sorry for Yifan, so she said to him, do you know what you did wrong? What did I do wrong? Yifan really doesn't know. Is it wrong to save people? If this is the case, then it is better for others not to be brave. Seeing that Yifan didn't speak, Zhongling thought he was repenting there, but suddenly his attitude changed. Maybe Yifan had some unavoidable reasons? It's caught up with now. Do you know how serious this matter was before? Zhongling said to Yifan, my classmate's uncle, who is probably not as old as you, committed rape when he was 16 years old. Sin, he was only released last year. Do you know how old he is? How old are you? Yifan listened attentively, so he could judge how many years he had been imprisoned. Zhongling raised her finger and said, he is 46 years old this year, you can do the math yourself. What? Yifan looked at him in disbelief. He was locked up at the age of 16 and released at the age of 46. He was 30 years old. However, what does this have to do with Yifan? Yifan is not a criminal, and Yifan is a good comrade. At the same moment, in the hotel, Zhou Lixiang felt that her head was dizzy, as if she had been hit hard by something. Regarding the scene that happened before, even now, Zhou Lixiang couldn't believe it was true. When I woke up, I found myself lying on the big bed in the hotel, and when I opened my eyes, I found that my student Yifan was staring at her with a narrow face. But it's not right. Zhou Lixiang tried hard to think back in her mind. That day, she was not in a good mood, so she went to the bar to get drunk. Then a strange man came over and wanted to have a drink with Zhou Lixiang. After drinking, Zhou Lixiang didn't know anything. But what does all this have to do with Yifan? Thinking of this, Zhou Lixiang suddenly felt a dull pain in her head. Zhou Lixiang couldn't tell what kind of feeling this was. Thinking of this, Zhou Lixiang was about to touch her phone. But after touching the bedside, she found a strange mobile phone there. Zhou Lixiang suddenly had a puzzled look in her heart, and slowly turned on the mobile phone. When the phone was turned on, Zhou Lixiang looked at the screen of the phone in surprise. She couldn't believe that what she saw was real. In the amazing scene above, the heroine kept twisting her delicate body as if she was burning with desire. Who is this? Zhou Lixiang looked in front of her eyes and spoke subconsciously. Could it be that Yifan did it? If this is the case, then Yifan is really hateful. With curious eyes, Zhou Lixiang continued to watch, but found that these seemed a little different from what she had imagined. As soon as the screen turned, it suddenly landed on Yifan's body, and Yifan rushed over. I can let you go first. Think about it carefully, such a top-quality woman is not so easy to get. "Shut up, you bastard, I will fight with you." After that, it was the scene of Yifan fighting with that mysterious man. Although Zhou Lixiang didn't know what happened afterwards, combined with the previous events, Zhou Lixiang still thought a lot. Zhou Lixiang's pupils contracted. From the looks of it, Yifan not only didn't insult me, but he even rescued me. Although Yifan's grades were not very good and his eyes looked very wretched, Zhou Lixiang was still a little moved by Yifan's move. For her sake, she was willing to fight the bad guys, and rescued Zhou Lixiang from the bad guys, but Zhou Lixiang was still blaming him, which was really inappropriate. Now, Yifan should be arrested. No, I have to rescue him immediately, Zhou Lixiang said to herself there. With that said, Zhou Lixiang got up and packed up, found a piece of clothing and quickly put it on, then took a taxi and headed towards the police station. As for the police station, Zhang looked at Yifan in front of her speechlessly. She didn't know what to do. Originally, I thought Yifan would tell the truth, but what about Yifan? But he said some irrelevant things without pain or itching. If that's the case, it's fine. Yifan kept asking Zhang some private things, which made her a little speechless. "Sister Jinghua, what is your phone number? I think what you said makes sense." Yifan squinted at Zhang and said, "I was enlightened by what you said, and I was so touched." Gone. Touched? Touched your sister? Touched? You are touched? Zhang is speechless. Who is the policeman and who is the criminal, she and Yifan? In fact, Yifan thought very clearly. He didn't know whether it was a blessing or a curse, so he simply said what he usually wanted to say in one breath. If Yifan died like this, wouldn't it be a pity not to say these words? So this time we must keep talking about what we need. Anyway, if it is true what Zhang said, when Yifan comes out, he may be 48 years old. Wouldn't Yifan die of depression by then? Enough, stop talking. Zhang was also very angry. She just said that she has a relative of a classmate. Besides, what era was it? What era is it now? Even if it was really locked up, it would not be more than 30 years, right? Yifan looked at Zhang blankly. "Sister Jinghua, what's wrong with you?" While Yifan was still asking, a system notification suddenly sounded in his mind. "Host, there are system tasks, please check carefully." Yifan looked depressed. "What? There is another system task. What kind of task is it?" The moment Yifan turned on the system, Yifan wanted to curse, and raised his head to look at Zhang in front of him. Yifan felt extremely painful. Because this task, in Yifan's view, is impossible to complete, and this task is still related to Zhang in front of him. When I opened the task bar, I saw that it read, "Host task, kiss the beautiful policeman and spend Zhang once. The task rewards life skills to a mature level." Cut, it's just raising life skills to a mature level, it's nothing special, right? Yifan looked at his life skills. Except for a cooking skill he just acquired, there was nothing else. But wanting to kiss Zhang in front of him seems impossible at all. Is Yifan going to give up because of this? Suddenly, Yifan seemed to muster up his courage and said to Zhang, "Pretty policewoman, do you dare to make a bet with me?" "Bet? What is the bet?" Zhang asked curiously. She also knew that Yifan had been tossing around here, but Yifan couldn't be tossing around for long. Zhang decided to coax him well while Yifan was still free. "Actually, Yifan, am a good comrade. I am innocent. If I lose, I will do whatever you ask me to do for you," Yifan said. Zhang is also interested. Okay, since joining the police force, Zhang has never gambled again, and her hands are itchy. Zhang asked, "Then what if you win?" "Ask Yifan what to do if he wins. Are you kidding? How could Yifan lose?" Yifan said, "If I win, you must kiss me." Regarding this question, Zhang didn't even have to think about it. What a joke. "Okay, I promise you," Zhang said. Suddenly her cell phone rang. Zhang went out after answering the phone, leaving Yifan sitting there blankly. Yifan didn't know what would happen. Could he just stay here in the future? But if this is the case, how can Yifan conquer those women and complete the system's tasks? Suddenly, Yifan regretted a little bit. "Oh, I have the urge to cry." While Yifan was still thinking, Zhang walked out. The call just now was made by a comrade outside. After Zhang came outside, she asked very puzzled, "Who was looking for me just now?" "It's me, I want to know, Yifan, how is he?" A woman came, a very, very beautiful woman. "Yifan? Isn't it the high school student who was accused of rape and attempted rape?" Wait, Zhang Ling's eyes suddenly brightened. Because at this time, Zhang Ling realized that the woman in front of her was not the beautiful teacher Zhou Lixiang she saw in the hotel. Why is she here? Although Zhang Ling was puzzled, she still asked, "What are you doing here?" Zhou Lixiang originally misunderstood Yifan, but now she didn't care so much, and handed the mobile phone in her hand to Zhang Ling. "You should take a look at this first." After taking the mobile phone handed over by Zhou Lixiang, Zhang Ling opened it directly, and what was in front of her was a very voluptuous scene. Looking at this scene, Zhang Ling felt a little blushing. What is it all about? Why did Zhou Lixiang show her this? But after watching for a while, Zhang Ling realized that there was a turning point in the plot, and Yifan appeared. Yifan, isn't he a criminal suspect? Zhang Ling continued to watch. Crime suspect? But this time, Yifan was fighting the real suspect. Seeing this, Zhang Ling suddenly realized. It turned out that she had misunderstood Yifan. Indeed, as Yifan said, Yifan was not a criminal. On the contrary, Yifan was still a hero who stood up for justice. Regardless of how Yifan knew, in terms of this matter alone, Yifan did the right thing. "I think this should confirm Yifan's innocence?" Zhou Lixiang asked. After all, she was her student no matter what. Although Zhou Lixiang didn't like Yifan very much before, she couldn't delay Yifan's future because of this. Zhang Ling nodded. "You wait here for a while, I'll be right over." Good. Zhou Lixiang found a seat and sat down. Here, Yifan sat there and waited. For him, this was indeed a torment. "What's going on? I have to give you some news. I've been locked up here for a long time." Yifan put his chin in his hands and looked up at the ceiling. "Could it be that I really have to wait until I'm in my 40s to come out?" If this is the case, then Yifan would rather die than forget about that impossible task. Kiss Zhang Ling. How did he remember it? While Yifan was still thinking about it, Zhang Ling came back, and looking at Zhang Ling's expression, she didn't seem very good looking. "Sister Jinghua, what's the matter?" Seeing Zhang Ling like this, Yifan showed a look of panic on his face. "What's the matter? Don't scare me." That's right, looking at Zhang Ling like this, could it be possible that Yifan was convicted? Thinking of this, Yifan suddenly felt a dull pain in his heart. Yifan asked subconsciously, "Sister Jinghua, what's wrong with you?" Yifan thought in his heart, this beautiful policewoman won't settle accounts with him. If she really takes Yifan away, it doesn't seem like much fun. Zhang Ling's expression is not very good looking. She is thinking in her heart, "Is this what I look like in your eyes?" Of course, she just thought about these words in her heart and didn't say them out, but she thought of the bet with Yifan before. This guy, didn't he do it on purpose? Zhang Ling was thinking there. "Sister Jinghua, what's wrong with you? Don't scare me," Yifan said to his eyes. Zhang Ling became more and more sure that Yifan must be pretending. This guy actually wants to pretend to be with her, right? Zhang Ling said to Yifan, "I would like to bet and admit defeat. I lost." "I lost? What does this mean?" Yifan looked in front of him, and a burst of doubt suddenly arose in his heart. But not long after, Yifan felt a faint fragrance in front of him suddenly penetrated into Yifan's brain. Afterwards, Yifan felt as if a dragonfly had just touched water in front of his eyes. Zhang Ling stood on tiptoe, and gently left a kiss on Yifan's cheek. Yifan stood there for a long time without realizing what was going on. "Damn, what's the situation?" Yifan subconsciously said looking at him. Right now, after Zhang Ling finished all this, her cheeks had already turned red, but she still held back and said, "You can go." "Can I go?" Yifan asked uncertainly. Even he himself didn't expect that Zhang Ling would suddenly say that, which meant that Yifan was innocent. The moment Yifan walked out, Yifan's eyes lit up. In the distance, Zhou Lixiang was sitting there, with a hint of anxiety on his cheeks. "Teacher Zhou Lixiang, are you here?" Yifan said with a smile. Zhou Lixiang had to come, especially after learning that Yifan had saved her. Wouldn't it be bad if she didn't come? Just at this time, the system's prompt sounded in Yifan's mind. "Congratulations to the host for completing the task, rewarding life skills and cooking skills to a mature stage." Haha, Yifan is in a good mood, and his cooking skills have improved to a mature stage, at least the strength of a 4-star chef. Unexpectedly, happiness came so suddenly. Yifan suggested, "Mr. Zhou Lixiang, thank you, let me treat you to dinner." "Forget it, let me treat you," Zhou Lixiang said. Yifan thought about it. He doesn't have much money now. If he really wanted to hire teacher Zhou Lixiang, what could Yifan hire? So Zhou Lixiang was left alone, and after she followed Zhou Lixiang to a food stall and sat down, Yifan began to wait there. Haha, teacher Zhou Lixiang, I'm so happy to be able to have dinner with a beautiful woman like you, Yifan said excitedly. Hearing what Yifan said, Zhou Lixiang was also very happy in her heart. All the unhappy things in her heart were swept away there. There were everyone around this food stall, and everyone looked at Yifan with envy and hatred. This guy is a student. He's so powerful that he can even date the teacher. The current students are really daring. I can't bear such a superb teacher. Oh, you see, the teacher is still shy. It's the first time I can't tell. Facing the words of those people around, even Zhou Lixiang couldn't bear to listen to it. On the contrary, Yifan looked very calm. Why? Because he was originally a dick, and he had thought of the scene of Dick's counterattack many times in his mind. Now that it can finally be realized, why is he not happy? The food will be served soon. Zhou Lixiang took a bite, then put down her chopsticks suddenly, and Yifan noticed this, and quickly asked, Teacher Zhou, what's wrong? Zhou Lixiang took a sip just now, and suddenly found that the dishes here are not so delicious, so now she has no appetite at all. And Yifan obviously realized this. After taking a sip, Yifan vomited it out and shouted into the distance, Boss, come here quickly. The owner of the food stall, a tall and thick man, ran over directly, glared at Yifan, stared at Zhou Lixiang greedily with squinting eyes, and said greedily, What's the matter, beauty? Boss, are you cooking these dishes? Yifan asked. The boss in front of him was very surprised. Yes, these dishes are indeed made by him, so they are very delicious? The dishes you cook are too unpalatable, Yifan said directly to the owner of the food stall. At this moment, in Yifan's mind, the system's notification sound suddenly sounded. The host task is to compete with the owner of the food stall, and the task rewards a memory capsule. Memory capsule, what is that? Yifan became puzzled, but want to compete with the owner of the food stall? Yifan is interested in this point. With Yifan's current experience, his cooking skills are already in the mature stage, and he is only one step away from being a king. Do you dare to say that the food I cook is unpalatable? The food stall owner said, very unhappy. Who here doesn't know that I was the chef of a restaurant back then, and you, who look like a student, dare to question me? Zhou Lixiang also felt very bad. Maybe it was really like what the food stall owner said. He used to be a chef in a big restaurant. But for some reason, Zhou Lixiang just doesn't like the dishes he cooks, and he can't force this. But Yifan was upset, and pointed at the food stall owner. Cut, what are you doing? I was doing much better than you when I was 7 years old. At the age of 7, what you did was better than what the owner of the food stall did. Hearing this, the owner of the food stall looked at Yifan angrily. That's good, since you said so, I would like to see it. The food stall owner put his arms around his arms and looked at Yifan with a playful look. Yifan nodded and pointed in front of him. If you win, I'll give you 100 bangs. Haha, this is good. The food stall owner pointed to Zhou Lixiang and said, I still want to go on a date with this beauty. What? Want to go on a date with Zhou Lixiang? How could this be possible? Yifan would definitely not agree. However, unexpectedly, Zhou Lixiang looked at Yifan very firmly. Yifan, I believe in you. Well, if you lose, you can apologize to me immediately and suspend business for 3 days, is that okay? Yifan looked in front of him and said. It's a deal. I'm still afraid of you, kid? The food stall owner said, unconvinced. The owner of the food stall looked at Yifan with a sad face. Che, I want to see what kind of dishes you can make. Not only the boss of the food stall, but many people looked at them with anticipation. What will happen? Hurry up. I said, you should hurry up. Why are you standing there without moving? Isn't it impossible? Judging by your appearance, it must be impossible. Can't you go a little faster? It doesn't look like much at first glance, and suddenly I don't have much expectations for him. The people around were talking a lot, obviously because Yifan stood here and did nothing. Zhou Lixiang also started to feel a little worried, although she didn't know why Yifan said those words so confidently. But if Yifan loses, Zhou Lixiang will go on a date with the food stall owner. Thinking of this, Zhou Lixiang will feel a wave of disgust in her heart. However, the owner of the food stall still did not forget to yell at Yifan, I think you should admit defeat. Seeing you like this, you probably won't be able to hold on anymore, right? It's not the end yet. How do you know the ending? Yifan was very confident. Why is he so confident? Because Yifan's life skills have already reached a mature level. Isn't it easy to deal with the food stall boss? In this case, I'll make a bowl of fried rice with eggs. Yifan picked up the pot and began to operate. Perhaps it was because Yifan had just learned life skills and was a little unfamiliar with it. The moment he got the pot, Yifan was a little unaccustomed to it. Haha, I've been making trouble for a long time, so you don't know how to cook. The food stall owner thought Yifan would show some trump card, but now looking at Yifan, he felt that this guy was bragging. The owner of the food stall did not forget to continue fiddling there. Now let me show you how big the gap is between us. The food stall owner felt that this was purely for fun. No matter how bad his level was, he wouldn't be defeated by an egg fried rice, right? If this is the case, then the food stall owner might as well stop cooking. It's useless to say these things now, you'll know later, Yifan said with a smile. Standing there, Zhou Lixiang was obviously a little worried. She also started to worry about Yifan. It's just fried rice with eggs. Is it really okay? However, Yifan in front of her showed a firm look towards her. Teacher Zhou Lixiang, you can rest assured, it will be fine. But, Zhou Lixiang opened her mouth, ready to continue talking. Beauty, don't worry, I will win this round, you don't have to worry. The food stall owner shouted to Zhou Lixiang. Looking at Zhou Lixiang in front of him, there was a hint of greed in the eyes of the food stall owner. The best, such a punctual girl is not so easy to meet, and after he wins, he can still date her. Thinking of this, the owner of the food stall suddenly became elated, and his waving movements became faster and faster. Mine is almost ready, so yours isn't cooked yet, the food stall owner said jokingly. Yifan looked relaxed and at ease. Don't worry, it will definitely not be worse than yours. Is it really not worse than the boss of the food stall? You know, what the owner of the food stall makes is the local delicacies, which are full of color and fragrance, and you can tell that it is very special just by smelling the fragrance. Looking at Yichen, a piece of egg fried rice, although it smells good, how does it compare to the owner of a food stall? Okay, then just randomly select a few people to taste and let them judge, okay? The food stall owner turned to look at Yifan and asked. Yifan held his head in both hands, with a look of indifference. Whatever you want, you can do whatever you want. Zhou Lixiang suddenly felt something was wrong, but she didn't say it out. Things were far from being so bad. Okay, stop being secretive, let's start. The food stall owner randomly selected a few people. But he played a trick, that is, the people he selected are all regular customers who often come to his place to eat. Of course, Yifan has already seen his intentions, but Yifan didn't say why, because Yifan believes that mature cooking skills should be higher than that of food stall owners. Then let's try it out, those people said. They first tasted the local delicacies from the owner of the food stall. It has to be said that the owner of the food stall is really talented. And look at Yifan's side, isn't it just a bowl of fried rice with eggs? It's not like they haven't eaten it before. Well, it tastes good. Indeed, it can be seen that the boss is very attentive. That's right, in my opinion, it's much better than that egg fried rice. The food testing people around were talking there, and the owner of the food stall couldn't hide his joy. Haha, so I won? Yifan stood in front of everyone. Wait a minute, you haven't tasted mine yet. You also need to try it? The food stall owner said angrily. The guests in front of them didn't intend to try the food, and Yifan was taken aback. Did he just lose this time? At this moment, no one noticed that a 7 or 8-year-old child sneaked over there, holding chopsticks in one hand, and eating Yifan's fried rice with eggs. Kid, don't. Yifan stopped. Originally Yifan wanted to use this as a trump card, but he didn't expect it to be destroyed by a child. Thinking of this, Yifan was a little depressed, and it seemed that he was going to fail now. But at this moment, a middle-aged man came out and hugged the little boy. Xiaobao, why are you being naughty again? Oh, isn't this the god of cooking in Yunshi? That's right, why is he here? I heard that the son of god of cooking is anorexic. Why is he so interested in fried rice with eggs? Those people around were all whispering there. Obviously they also began to feel incredible about the scene in front of them. The owner of the food stall looked at him in disbelief. What, the son of a chef, anorexic, why is he so fond of a bowl of fried rice with eggs? Young man, thank you. May I ask you to do it again? The middle-aged man said to Yifan. Yifan also learned the true identity of the person in front of him through the words of the people before him, and Yifan felt an unconcealable joy in his heart. Haha, I really made a lot of money this time. God of cooking, what kind of person is that, who is actually interested in Yifan's dishes? Zhou Lixiang didn't expect that Yifan would lose, but she didn't expect that there would be such a big turning point soon. This is too scary, right? God of cooking in Yunshi, everyone continued to watch, and Yifan nodded dully. Are you kidding, master of cooking in Yunshi? Yifan grew up watching his shows when he was young, now, his idol is watching him there, how can Yifan not get excited? So, Yifan cooked the egg fried rice again, and the action slowed down a lot invisibly. Seeing Yifan making fried rice with eggs, the people around were also puzzled, it's so strange, it looks very ordinary. No, look at his technique. God of cooking pointed at Yifan. Look at Yifan's technique? Everyone began to observe Yifan, and suddenly found that every movement of Yifan was rhythmic and very regular. After watching it for a while, God of cooking suddenly understood, so that's how it is. Everyone looked puzzled, what happened, why did God of cooking say that? I said, who won this game? The food stall owner said displeased. God of cooking looked down at the 3 delicacies left on the table, and his face changed. The ingredients are not used to perfection, look at the color, and compare it with the egg fried rice over there, you are still far behind. Still a long way to go? These words, to the food stall owner, were like a bolt from the blue, which made him unable to react for a long time. What, he lost this time, how could it be possible? Yifan was just a boy of 17 or 18 years old. And he has been cooking for so many years, how could he not be Yifan's opponent, he was thinking there. Young man, this is my business card. I think we will have a chance to meet again. God of cooking left after saying these words. Yifan stood there blankly, suddenly feeling a little unbelievable, oh my god, his childhood idol is actually greeting him, what kind of feeling is this? And looking at Yifan like this, he seemed to value Yifan very much, which made Yifan a little flattered. Yifan, you won. Zhou Lixiang came to Yifan and said very happily. That's right, Yifan won. At this time, the system's notification sounded, congratulations to the host for completing the task, defeating the owner of the food stall, and getting a memory capsule. Memory capsule, what is the use of that? Yifan was thinking there. There is no time to worry about these things now. Yifan and Zhou Lixiang were about to leave, but found that a person in front of them suddenly blocked their way. This person is none other than the owner of the previous food stall. He stood there and glanced at Yifan coldly, you seem to have forgotten something, right? What is it? Yifan asked back. In front of him, the owner of the food stall pointed at Zhou Lixiang who was beside Yifan, his eyes lit up, you lose, you have to keep the beauty by your side. What, let Yifan leave Zhou Lixiang behind, how is this possible? Yifan took a step forward, obviously you lost, so is it possible that you still want to play tricks? I just want to play tricks, what can you do to me? The owner of the food stall hugged his hands and couldn't help laughing.